was a day of Stamford Bridge debuts. One went extremely well, one went not so well. Chelsea win 3-0 against Aston Villa. Let's get into it.
And blue is the colour. SCN! Drogba! Lampard! That could be the
Greetings! Welcome back to Couch Critic with me, Dennis P. And you already know this is another Chelsea match review, but more specifically a tactical synopsis of Chelsea's performance against Aston Villa. Before I get into all that, I wanted to let you guys know we do have a brand new sponsor for the show. They go by the name of Major League Socks. And if you ever want to walk in the footsteps of greatness, you know what to do, hit them up. The link is in the description. For this particular match review, we're going to be focusing on three different things. We're going to be speaking on Chelsea's right side of the pitch and how their lack of understanding and cohesion led to all sorts of problems in the first half. We definitely have to talk about Romelu Lukaku making his second debut at Chelsea at Stamford Bridge and bagging a brace that cannot be ignored. But there really is only one place to start, and that is in the midfield. We saw the debut of Saul Niguez as well. And I'm not going to dwell too heavily on this because I know that there's going to be a lot of people talking about it, and I don't think that it needs as much attention as it's going to get just out of nature. But he did have a rough game. It was a really, really poor debut. I didn't think he was up to it in the first half. It was evident in his overall game. He was struggling with the pace and power of the Prem, taking one too many touches in dangerous areas, trying to dribble out of positions where he should just release the ball, get it up the pitch. And all of that led to all sorts of problems in Chelsea trying to build attacks, but also defending. I thought that in the midfield in particular, the partnership between Kovacic and Niguez just had no communication whatsoever. I thought that Niguez was often looking to press when Chelsea were looking to sit. It was just so evident that Chelsea lacked a midfield general in the first half. You can tell there was no communication between Niguez and Kovacic. When one would go, the other would also go at times. You saw that with Niguez a few times. And for me, I love seeing a midfield, especially when you're playing with double six, that are basically tied together on a string where, you know, if one goes up, the one sits back, and the other one goes up, the other one sits back, sort of like, you know, tethered to each other. And there was times in that first half where the positioning of Saul Niguez just left gaps and gaps of space for Aston Villa to exploit. They pressed us really well in the first half, but a lot of that was down to just the lack of positioning from Saul Niguez. There were times where he was behind Jorginho and the right side of the pitch was just exposed massively. So there are some things that he needs to work on. Obviously, he needs to just gain the composure and move the ball a lot quicker. Like, this is not La Liga. You can't dwell on the ball here. When you try and dribble out of danger, you'll find yourself in more unless you're really, really, really good on the ball. And I just felt like his overall game was a little bit nonchalant. It didn't seem like he was really, really ready to get into this game and just grab it by the scruff of the neck. Maybe it would have been better for him to come on maybe at the 70-minute mark just to get his feet wet. But he got the debut, trial by fire. And, you know, it was unfortunate to see him subbed at 45, but it was so important to see him, to see that happen because he just was not in the game at all. And it seemed like Aston Villa were just picking on him on the right side of the pitch in particular. Of course, Kovacic had a great half. I thought that his awareness on the pitch was heightened and probably had to be being partnered with Niguez, but that pass to Lukaku for the goal was exceptional. Like, these are the types of things that we want to see more of from Kovacic going forward. He was my man of the match, by the way, just because in the first half I really didn't think that he had a partner out there, and he still had an impressive first half. And then he comes in and also presses really high up the pitch, puts pressure on the keeper, Steer, I believe his name was, and bags himself a goal. So yeah, it's whenever Kovacic gets a goal, you almost have to give him man of the match because it's just like a unicorn. You never see it happen. So yeah, hats off to him. There's still some work to do for Saul Niguez, however, though. When Jorginho came on to start the second half, you noticed a marked difference in Chelsea's ability to play in the midfield, to play out from the back. And it's basically because Jorginho is a communicator on the pitch. He's not just a guy that understands where to be positionally, moves the ball quickly, but he's also a guy that communicates to other people where they need to be in order to receive the ball. And we saw that immediately as soon as he came onto the pitch, and it was so necessary for us to see somebody to come in and just take control of the midfield. because we just weren't getting that in the first half with Saul Niguez and Kovacic. It was great to see Jorginho come on and show people why he's so important to that midfield. It's not just because, you know, he can pass sideways, pass backwards. It's because he moves the ball quickly and sets tempo. Moving on from the midfield, I do think we need to acknowledge the big man up top, Romelu Lukaku, coming in his second debut at Stamford Bridge and bagging a brace. I mean, what could be said? Like, this is exactly what we needed last year, a clinical finisher. You know, this game is evidence of what it means when you have a clinical striker and you're challenging for the title. Guy takes 2 shots and puts them and bangs them both. Was quiet for the rest of the game, although I did think that his link-up play was actually quite effective. There were times I saw him win the ball in the air, and instead of just knocking it down, he would knock it to the left or to the right of him into one of our wing backs. I haven't really seen somebody knock the ball, you know, sideways with so much power. That was impressive to see as well. But overall, I don't think that Lukaku had a lot to feed off of the game. And as the games get more difficult, that's exactly what we're going to need from Romelu Lukaku, just somebody that can take these limited chances that we had. 2 chances, scores 2 goals. Very, very clinical, highly clinical. We did not have that last year. We need that this year if we're going to challenge for the title. And let's be honest here, those weren't even really A1 chances. Those were basically half chances that Lukaku took and banged. That second goal, let's speak on that. Like, give me a break. Are you kidding me? The ball comes in from Azpilicueta after a nutmeg, beautifully done, and squares it to Lukaku, who takes a touch, kills it perfectly, and then just bangs it into the top shelf outside the 18. We didn't see that. We haven't had a striker who can do that in quite some time. And man, it's such a welcome addition. I'll be honest with you guys, I wasn't really his biggest fan coming to Chelsea. I knew that he was a guy that could score inside the 18, you know, a guy that is, you know, a poacher at best. But he's showing me something different, man, in the last couple of games that I've seen him in right now. He's showing that his ability to hold up the ball is incredible. He's showing me that he can use his left and right foot. He's showing me that he can use his pace to get in behind. I always knew that he can do that, but it's evident now. It's evident that that's one of his assets, along with his strength and his ability to like get nice touches on the ball. Like the touch to kill it for the second goal was really, really well taken. It's looking every day more and more that Lukaku was the right choice, not just because he's clinical, not just because he's scoring goals, but because he's the right fit for the club. He's a guy kissing the badge after scoring a brace, you know, and really, you know that wasn't just for show. That's because he loves this club. And, you know, the intangibles that come with a guy like Lukaku as our striker, you know, you can't say enough about it. So long may continue. We got some tough matches coming up. If he continues to bang in the goals, man, I think we're going to be in for a hell of a season. Okay, so we covered the good, the bad, and now it's time to get into the ugly. Chelsea's right side of the pitch thought had a really difficult first half in particular, but throughout the game I didn't really think they had much influence on it other than surrendering opportunities for the opposition. In particular, I would say that the partnership between Callum Hudson-Odoi, Saul Niguez, and Ziyech had no understanding whatsoever and lacked leadership all up and down that side of the pitch. Didn't have anyone that was really communicating well. And that's a strength of Thomas Tuchel's side. It's not about individual performances as much as it is about the collective, and the collective trusting each other and understanding what everyone is doing on the pitch to help each other out and whatnot. And I just didn't see any of that in the first half. These are all guys that we want to see play, and we want to see them play well, but if they can't fit into the system correctly, then I'm afraid we're just not going to have an opportunity to see them really flourish. Obviously, Callum Hudson-Odoi is playing out of position. He's not a wing back to me. He's an out-and-out winger, probably best on the left, and he's trying to fill in a role here because he needs to find minutes on the pitch. But I firmly believe that somebody like him should have been put on loan just because he needs to be finding his game right now. He needs to be defining his role and his position in the team. And playing him out of position in a position that is very demanding, let's be honest. The wingback position requires that you get up and down the pitch all game long and have awareness for when runners are getting in behind, have the awareness to get up the pitch, and then also get back. Further up the pitch, we saw Ziyech come in, and like he had a fantastic preseason. Guy that we thought was going to be a talismanic figure for us. Again, just struggled to really assert himself on the pitch. These are the types of things that you just can't have for a guy that's, 27, 28 years old. One of the more senior, more seasoned players. He played in big games his entire career, and he's still making these poor decisions in crucial areas on the pitch. And then on top of that, he's not being that leader on that right side. Obviously, we had Trevor Taloba playing where Captain Norway plays, Azpilicueta, we had Saul Niguez in the right midfield position, we had Callum Hudson-Odoi on the right wing-back position, and then a little bit further up the pitch, we had Ziyech. Of those 4 players that I mentioned, you would expect Ziyech to be the most comfortable in his position, the one that would be the guy that would help us build attacks from that side of the pitch and settle down the action that was happening down there. Not necessarily defensively, but when he has the ball, making the right decisions so that it's not coming right back at us, at a blazing pace where we have, Saul Niguez out of position, Callum Hudson-Odoi trying to get back into position. It's just these types of things. Like, you expect a veteran, a guy that's played in so many big matches, to be more of a presence, not just attacking, but also just keeping things ticking over rather than giving it up, making poor decisions all over the pitch. Now, the question I have for you guys is, of the guys that came on that don't play regularly, the 5 players that came in gave the manager something to think about. It was going to give him selection headaches. Because I think that that's exactly what you want when you have a big squad. You need guys that are going to come in and challenge for the positions when they get the opportunity to do so. And unfortunately, of the names that I've mentioned, I only really feel like Trevoh Chalobah played well enough to expect more minutes and earning the trust of the manager. And it is a bit of a problem, but at the same time, to have such a poor game and still emerge 3-0 winners means that we have a really strong squad. So there's nothing to worry about there. We just have to find the right solutions and maybe the right mix of players in subsequent games in order to, really take control of the match like we have done under Thomas Tuchel's reign. But I think I'm going to wrap it up there. Chelsea emerged 3-0 winners at Stamford Bridge, and we got Romelu Lukaku on his second debut, bagging a brace. Can you believe it, man? And not just some fluxy little deflection off a goalie and then it falls right into your path and then he bangs it home. I'm talking about some proper strikes, composure in the box as well for the first one, where he just shifts it back onto his right. Is not natural foot either. He shifts it back onto his right and finishes it beautifully, and then kills the ball with his left, and then takes a fantastic strike, an arrow right to the top shelf to get his second for the brace. I mean, what more can you say about that? That's exactly what you want from your striker. Coming in, hitting the ground, running at Chelsea. It's exactly what we wanted, and I'm glad we're seeing it right now. Fantastic performance from Kovacic, still my man in the match, just because I think he had a lot of work on his plate and still was able to bag a goal and an assist and really just control that midfield for us. Had it not been for him, I don't know if we would have had the type of game that we all wanted to see. I think that Chelsea would have been struggling to keep control of the ball, and it would have been wave after wave of attack. So we moved, man. Mendy in goal. What can you say? He hasn't really been tested a lot under Tuchel. We don't really give up a lot of high danger opportunities, but when we do give them up, he's going to be there for you, which is a great thing to have. You need a goalie that will just spring to life when the opportunities are there, and he seems to be right up for it. He's looking fantastic. So what do we got next? We got Zenit in the Champions League on Tuesday. That should be a great game. I do expect to see most of the starters back in for that one, given the fact that we didn't see a lot of them, like the Mason Mounts. Reece James obviously will be playing. I would assume Timo Werner might even get a little bit of time there now. And I really do think Kai Havertz needs a rest, just because he's been playing a lot of football. He's also coming off with a flu. So I really do think that Timo Werner might be somebody that we see up top, maybe in a double striker role with Mason Mount playing the 10. I'd love to see something like that, just to see how Werner plays with a real target man up front. And let's hope that we can bag 3 points there. It's always important to get off to a good start in the Champions League. Let's hope we can do that. Then we move into the weekend. We got the Spurs, and that is another London derby, our second in 4 or 5 games. So yeah, it's important. We need those points, man. We need to be taking down our rivals. We need to assert our authority over these teams as well. And if we can go into, I think it's at White Hart Lane, if I'm not mistaken, or White Fart Lane, or whatever they call it these days. I don't know. The toilet bowl. We got to go in there and get that 3 points, man. But you know what to do. Keep the blue flag flying high, and up to Chelsea. Peace.